Leonarda Cianciulli was a notorious serial killer who operated in Italy during the early 20th century. Born on April 14, 1894, in Montella, Italy, she gained infamy as the soap maker of Correggio due to her gruesome crimes and disturbing motives. Cianciulli's actions were driven by a belief in superstitious rituals and a desire to protect her sons from harm and secure their success. According to her confessions, she believed that sacrificing human lives through murder would bring good luck to her family. She meticulously planned her murders and carried out her heinous acts with cold-blooded precision. Her first victim was Faustina Setti, an older woman whom Cianciulli claimed to have found a job for in Florence. In September 1939, Cianciulli drugged Setti with wine laced with potassium cyanide, and then killed her with an axe. She subsequently used Setti's body to make soap. Her second victim was Francesca Soavi, a former friend, whom Cianciulli lured to her home in May 1940 with the promise of a job. Soavi suffered the same fate as Setti, and Cianciulli turned her body into soap as well. Cianciulli's third and final victim was Virginia Cacioppo, a woman who was looking for a room to rent. In September 1940, Cianciulli lured her to her home and murdered her, using her remains to make soap and tea cakes. After Leonarda Cianciulli used the victim's corpse to make soap, she will cut the soap into small pieces, then wrapped in decorative paper make it look like a normal gift soap. She then gave these gifts to her unsuspecting neighbors and acquaintances, in order to eliminate evidence and avoid suspicion. Besides making soap, Cianciulli claims to make tea cakes. Using the flesh of her victims, she would bake the meat into cakes and give it to the guests who came to the house, including neighbors and friends. It is believed that Cianciulli fed the meat of her victims to others without their knowledge. This horrible practice of soap and cake making from human remains and presenting them to unsuspecting persons. It was truly terrifying and shocking. It highlighted the thoughtful and well-planned nature of Cianciulli's crimes. While she calmly made soap and cake to cover up her actions and deceive those around her, details of Cianciulli's actions included making soap and cakes from her victims and giving them to neighbors. A reminder of the cruelty that can exist in human behavior. It serves as a gruesome example of the faces of ordinary people, able to hide unimaginable horrors and the need for surveillance in detecting and preventing such heinous crimes. The story of Leonarda Cianciulli remains a dark chapter in history. It was a clear reminder to the depths of human darkness and the lasting effects of crime, horrifying to the victim, their family, and society as a whole. As for the fate of the soaps and cakes made by Cianciulli, the recipient may use or discard them without their true origin. It is not known whether neighbors or acquaintances who received Cianciulli's gift ever learned of the horrifying truth behind them. However, it was evident that Cianciulli's actions had left a lasting mark on the community and those who knew her, and the grisly details of her crimes. It continues to impress and terrify people to this day. Cianciulli's crimes eventually came to light when the disappearance of her victims raised suspicions. The police launched an investigation, and Cianciulli's actions were uncovered. She confessed to the murders and was arrested in October 1940. She was subsequently put on trial and found guilty of multiple counts of murder. In 1946, Cianciulli was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a criminal asylum. After her arrest and conviction, Cianciulli's life took a dramatic turn. She spent years in prison and a criminal asylum, where she underwent psychiatric evaluations and treatment. Despite her horrific crimes, Cianciulli showed little remorse and maintained her belief in the supernatural powers of her actions. She reportedly showed no signs of rehabilitation or remorse during her time in custody. In 1970, at the age of 76, Cianciulli died of a cerebral apoplexy while still serving her sentence in the Women's Criminal Asylum of Pozzuoli. Her case continues to be a macabre and intriguing part of criminal history, with numerous books, articles, and documentaries recounting the details of her crimes and the investigation that led to her arrest. As for Cianciulli's former residence, her house in Correggio, Italy, where she committed the murders, has since changed ownership and has no connection to her or her crimes. The house has likely undergone multiple renovations and changes over the years, and its current state may be quite different from when Cianciulli resided there. In summary, the dark and twisted actions of Leonarda Cianciulli, driven by her superstitious beliefs and desire for her son to succeed, leaving a trail of horror and tragedy. Her motives, methods, and subsequent imprisonment serve as reminders of the depths of human vices and the consequences of heinous crimes. The story of Leonarda Cianciulli has been a source of inspiration for several movies over the years. Here is a list of some movies that have been released, based on or inspired by Cianciulli's story, in chronological order. The Soap of Correggio, 1981. This Italian TV movie was directed by Giovanni Fago and is based on the life of Leonarda Cianciulli. It portrays the events leading up to her arrest and the subsequent investigation into her crimes. Francesco, 1989, directed by Michele Placido. This Italian drama film tells the story of Leonarda Cianciulli, played by Lina Sostri. It delves into her motives and actions, including the making of soap and cakes from her victims, and her eventual arrest. Leonarda, 2007, this Italian documentary, directed by Stefano Pamiglia, explores the life and crimes of Leonarda Cianciulli through interviews and archival footage. It provides a detailed look at her actions and the investigation that led to her arrest. The Monster of Florence, 2009, although not specifically based on Leonarda Cianciulli, this Italian crime drama film, directed by Cesare Ferrario, draws inspiration from her story in the infamous Monster of Florence case, which involved a series of murders in Italy. It delves into the psychological profile of a killer, similar to Cianciulli's character. Serial Killers, the real-life Hannibal Lecters, 2018. This documentary TV series explores the lives and crimes of various serial killers, including Leonarda Cianciulli. It provides an in-depth look into her actions, motivations, and the investigation that led to her arrest. It's worth noting that while these movies may draw inspiration from Leonarda Cianciulli's story, they may also take creative liberties and should not be considered entirely factual. Nevertheless, they serve as a testament to the lasting impact of Cianciulli's crimes and her infamous legacy in history. Please note that the depiction of Cianciulli's actions in these movies is for historical and educational purposes only and should not be glorified or condoned in any way. It's important to remember that crimes of this nature are abhorrent and deeply unethical. And all that. It's the story right now. Thank you for joining us and listening. Please press subscribe and press the notification bell. When there's something new, we'll come to sit around the circle and listen to each other again. For today, have a good day to you. See you then.